So funny that even the FAA has to smile. We're talking with plain silly Bryan Turner in the hangar.
I used to be a well-respected member of the aviation community, and then I started flying a Cirrus, and that changed.
Oh, that was great until the engine quit.
And all of a sudden I see these explosions and these trees exploding.
I'm walking away a better pilot because of this discussion.
Welcome to In the Hangar. Bryan, thank you for coming today.
Good to see you.
So Bryan, you have a channel called Plain Silly. Are you supposed to be like kind of funny or something?
I don't think so. I'm very serious, and I take it very serious, but people seem to think that it's all satire. I don't know where they get the idea. It bothers me.
Well, speaking of bothering you, you ever get calls from the local FSDO for some of your videos?
No, I think, honestly, I think I'm probably the one person who can get away with more stuff than other people just because of the nature of the channel. So you just say it's green screens, and if they have an issue, green screens. That's my story I'm sticking to.
So, all right. People say that you go from Cirrus to slumming in the Grumman.
Who says that?
Somebody. A blonde Christy, maybe her name.
She's my pool cleaner. I know who you're talking about. I didn't even know she was a pilot.
Yeah, yeah. So you are a pilot. Tell me about what you fly.
I own a Grumman, and I share a Cirrus with my father. Those are the two planes I fly.
What do you like to fly the best?
Depends on where I'm going. So if cross-country stuff, definitely the Cirrus. I prefer that plane. It's faster, it's more comfortable.
And that's why you flew the Grumman to Oshkosh.
Yeah, that does counteract what I just said. So the Oshkosh trip, my goal was to fly my own plane to Oshkosh, and if I ever go back, I won't fly the Grumman. It was 8 hours and a 30-knot headwind. Average ground speed was 84 knots, so it was a...
Well, that helped when you're having to do left turns for 3 hours at FIS.
It was a 3-hour hold. The next time I go, it'll be on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Where did, I've watched some of your videos, and
you're the guy.
Some of them, yeah. So, I liked one or two of them. They're very funny, Bryan, in all seriousness. And where do you come up with the ideas like the Etch-a-Sketch, the Bryan on, all that stuff is just super hilarious. Where do you get your ideas?
I don't know. So I'm not a video guy, really. I write. I like to write satire. It's harder to get written stuff in front of people. So I have a blog that I'm constantly writing. I'll just sit down at the computer and start typing stuff, and then things that I think are funny start to flow. And then sometimes I'll run them by my wife or someone and go, is this really funny? And sometimes it's just
no.
Yeah, actually, mostly no.
Mostly no.
But so I write things, and so I have tons and tons and tons of pages of stuff that I've written down, and I go, okay, can I make this into a video? And stuff pops in my head. Like what I'm working on next is I'm working on a 7-episode, I guess, series about air disasters, but they're just minuscule disasters, like the pilot's got an itchy foot and he has to scratch it, and he might kick his rudder pedal if he tickles himself, sending this plane into a spin. So it's just minor things, sort of a spoof on, you watch these air disaster videos where the plane's out of trim and they're lucky to be alive kind of thing. It's silly. So I just have an idea like that, and it's just a seed, and I just start typing, and that's where. Yeah.
What's your favorite video that you've done?
My favorite one I've done is one of the least popular ones. It was one about in-flight emergencies. And I just think the whole concept of losing instruments in the clouds and trying to maintain your orientation by opening a coffee can full of butterflies and keeping the plane oriented towards how the butterflies are flying, I think that's brilliant, but no one else did. So
you know what? And actually, I don't think I've seen that one.
You should go watch it, or don't. I don't know. I like it, but that's the one where I was always like, man, I thought that was pretty clever. So there's some lines in there I was pretty proud of.
Where did you come up with the idea of doing a YouTube channel on Aviation Comedy?
Oh, that's not a good story. So I used to be a well-respected member of the aviation community, and then I started flying a Cirrus, and that changed.
Right.
So like I said, I'm a writer, and so I don't know if prolific's the right word, but I wrote a lot on aviation forums. Pilots of America is one of my favorite forums. And I used to just write there, and I take the different characters and put them into a story and do, this is a day in the life of this forum. And so kind of had a little bit of, I don't know if following is the right word, but that was where I was being creative.
At least 6 people.
6 or 7.
Right, yeah.
When I started flying the Cirrus, it was interesting the attitudes people have towards that aircraft. It's very polarizing. I like the airplane, but there was this whole faction of people that came out of the woodwork like,
oh, you got a parachute, that's not real flying.
Can't land a plane without a parachute. I'm like, I've never used it. I know, I've seen the handle, but it really is like there was this whole like macho side of the internet that kind of came
Yeah.
out and was just like, all I need are Tundra tires and I can put any plane down anywhere.
It's not macho. You know what it is? It's pure green envy. I've flown a Cirrus. It is an absolute incredible thing to fly. So if you actually own one, I hate you.
Well, I don't. I'm lucky to have access to it. My father
Well, if
purchased
you have
it.
access to one on a regular basis like
Yes.
this, I hate you.
My dad purchased it because he didn't trust my flying ability. So,
Right. Well, because you're so certificated, right? What are some of your certificates? You're commercial, right?
No.
Multi-engine. You got your instrument, right?
No.
Do you have a sport pilot license?
I'm working on the sport pilot.
Okay.
The video's coming about the sport pilot's license so I was on Reddit, and I had some people convinced that I got a sport instrument rating just for pop-up clearances and a safety pilot rating.
A safety pilot rating.
And, so I drew out a certificate that looked like a license, and I got in a fight with a guy because he said those aren't real, and I said my instructor says they are. They cost me a lot of money. What are you saying? And then a couple people were going, well, how do I get this? And I was like, this is
Send me
awesome.
$50 and I'll
And
send you one.
that's how the idea for a video gets born, because now I'm going to work with someone and come up with a safety pilot video on how to get your safety pilot rating for the low cost of some exorbitant fee.
Okay, so if you're watching this and you link over to that, know that it's real.
This is where it was born.
It's real. You can get a safety pilot rating.
But so as to how the channel started, so all this kind of changed when I started flying the Cirrus, and I was like, man, there's all these crazy attitudes, and people, you start a thread on a forum about a Cirrus, and it just goes on, and the arguments start. And I was flying to meet a friend in Gainesville, and I just had the idea, you know what, I'm going to film myself landing this plane, and it's just going to be a funny thing. Just look, I landed a Cirrus. And while I was flying, I mean, that was probably the least scripted video I've ever done. And I was flying, and I was just like,
Calling it a 50-mile final?
I know. And I was just sitting there, started going through all the things that, you know, because what would a terrible pilot do? Because Cirrus pilots are obviously terrible pilots. And so all these things started popping in my head. And my favorite line was the one about the steam gauges. And then I landed, and the traffic thing went off, and I was like, oh, that's, you know, the Cirrus is telling me there's congested highways and whatnot. So and then I was just like, and then so my friend Kent Shook sent me an email the next day and just said, hey, get off my Facebook page. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so the thing had started getting shared, and I was like, okay, well, I'm a pilot, so ego, insecurity, YouTube
Boom.
channel born.
Boom, yeah. That's why, I mean,
Here we are today.
I mean, it really, you got to get your written, you got to get your check ride, and you got to get your YouTube channel.
Yes, that's how it needs to
Right,
be.
that's how you get your pilot certificate.
I'm stealing that.
All right, well, you saw that here. Okay, so what's next for your channel?
Right now, I'm working on a follow-up video, so if you haven't seen the video, this is going to go south. So I did a video talking about how I wanted to put together this fly-in in
The Bryan.
Yeah, in
I loved
Oshkosh,
it,
Wisconsin. And so I got pissed off when I was up there because the EAA obviously heard about it and tried to piggyback their experimental fly-in onto my fly-in. All these planes showed up, most of them weren't experimental, so I know they're there for me, but the EAA is putting all these numbers in their video saying, oh, we had 100,000 planes in
Shameful.
attendance. And I'm like,
Do they not have any
these are my planes.
modicum of
So
sensibility?
probably in the next couple of days, the follow-up to that, because I'm a little unhappy about them using my numbers. So what I've decided to do is I'm actually going to move the fly-in. I'm going to do it in April next year, and I'm going to do it in Florida. I think Lakeland is where I want to have it.
that'd be good.
Yeah, Oshkosh, they can have that one.
Right.
So I don't want to have to compete with anybody. So the Florida one,
Move
have
to
it.
Florida.
Have it
Get away
named
from
yet.
those
Right?
cheeseheads.
So that one, and then I'm working on a video about why I chose to purchase a Grumman. It's kind of a fringe aircraft that's not, you sort of have like your Cessna Pipers, then you got your Mooney Bonanza, and then the Grumman's kind of this fringe thing, but I feel like it should be more prolific. It's a fantastic plane for a lot of funny reasons.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We should get you and Eric and everybody together and do a panel
At a later date.
at a later date, at another day.
Yeah, you'll know because we'll be wearing different shirts.
But if you look closely, you might have the same shoes, so it'll be real interesting.
He loses it.
Yeah, he didn't bring an extra shirt. So thanks for watching, and as always, please share, subscribe, and like. If you want to know more about his channel, it's Plain Silly on YouTube.
Just plain silly.
Just Plain Silly.
We can
Not
change it
just
to plain
Mr.
silly. I saw Mr. Aviation 101 drop the Mr.
He dropped Mr.
So everyone drop the first word on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so now I'm just off. Or the Hangar. So anyway, thanks, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Bryan.
All right, thanks for having me.